Paul, you were involved really early on. I think you were one of our first prominent urologist supporters seeing the potential of epigenetics. We saw great science, but how was it clinically useful? In the future, I'm really hoping that we can start using semen analysis, not just as men's first look into their health, but like as a biomarker for an annual screening even for men, because it's so influenced by everything else happening in the body. I would say the majority of patients kind of end at just the fertility clinic and don't get recommended to a male fertility specialist like yourself. And so in those cases, these men are really just getting that semen analysis, which Paul, you said, unless it's zero, it's not predictive. So the majority of subfertile men are going undiagnosed, which is a huge problem. And they're not getting these expansive tests that build on the semen analysis. So it's an important point if you are going through fertility care and there might be an unexplained problem for men to get more advanced help because just the standard fertility clinic is not doing those tests. It just blew me away because as a female, you go through everything. You get poked, prodded, tested. There's just a smattering of tests. And the guy is doing a sample collection and they're just doing a microscopy analysis. And like
just
Paul said,
making love to a cup. But yeah,
Exactly.
they're just looking at it and that's
Yeah.
it, right?
It's like 5th grade science.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Talk With Turek podcast. Sitting beside me is my good friend, Paul Turek. Welcome.
Hi, Rob Clyde.
So how was your week? I mean, we've both had a couple of big events in our lives. Since
I was on Peter Tia's podcast, and it came out, and it's been overwhelming. He's a mind-bending intellect, and he's kind of the standard bearer of podcasts.
He is. He talks a lot about longevity and living longer, being healthier. I started following him on TikTok maybe a couple of years ago. And who is this guy? And I think even was a target for you to be a voice on that show.
Absolutely.
So congratulations. It's a very big podcast out there. Lots of people are
3 hours.
It was a 3-hour shoot. Is that right?
Well, it's a 3-hour podcast, and I was like, I'm glad we're doing a 45 to an hour.
I agree.
He's got a lot of energy.
He does, but he talks these much broader subject.
Oh yeah.
Right, and we're pretty narrow here with male infertility and sexual health.
Yeah.
My kid graduated high school.
There you go.
And it was
That's
great.
a moment.
It was a moment. Very proud of him. It was 6 grandparents, so 3 sets of grandparents, all from the East Coast, flew out in different Airbnbs, and Avery and I had, events and parties and things like that. It was overwhelmingly stressful for me.
Really?
But yeah, it really was. Just because I tend to...
Oh, make sure everyone's happy.
Yeah, I'm the host. It's kind of what I do. And so I really making sure everybody's happy.
So the best moment for you was when it finished, when you had
when it was over.
Yeah.
My younger son also graduated from 5th grade. So, and it was my birthday that week.
Oh,
so
geez.
really, it was a crazy.
Right, yeah.
It was a crazy week.
You're
it was a bit.
37 now.
I appreciate that. I'm exactly 37.
I do that with women all the time, and now I do it with men
because it's flattering.
They don't want anyone to know their age.
Yeah, if you get a compliment from a beautiful woman, like
that happens to me a lot
all the time. That's one thing, but if I get a compliment from a man, that's actually more flattering
substance.
to me.
Yeah,
right.
I agree with that.
So you look good today, Paul. Thank you.
I had a couple of patients in the office this week that impressed me. They were put together, look great, techies, great jobs, great intellect. And they were really insecure about their bodies, like sexually.
Yeah.
You've got it all. What are you worried about?
Bedside manner matters. That's why you're their doctor. I'm telling you, that's really smart. I have, we've talked about on this podcast, like I look and I said, who decided to put cameras up and make us, because I'm self-conscious about the way I look. I'm self-conscious about my weight all the time. I'm self-conscious about my hair. I'm getting older, and it's funny but men need a little bit of self-confidence. They need a little pick-me-up.
They walked out with their shoulders back and into a new world because I said, you've got the package.
They do have the package. You might want to rephrase that in a different way when they're fertility and they're sitting in your barber chair and you say, hey, you got the package right there. You got the package. We definitely need the self-confidence, especially if they're going to take a fertility journey like we've talked about on the show. We had an amazing, the last podcast, Mike and Katie, they were amazing and talking about their fertility journey, and Mike being honest to say, man, I was a farmer and a manly man kind of a thing, and all of a sudden I'm shooting blanks and
gets to the heart of things. Yeah. So you can really bring it down.
Okay, so we're going to talk about sperm on the show today,
Yes.
and you're going to answer a lot of questions, things that I don't know, like what does the word epigenetics mean, right? I think of EpiPen. That's what I think of when I say epi. So do you know what's
an allergy?
Okay,
so you treat allergies with epigenetics.
Epigenetics. I hear epi and I hear genetics. So what does epi mean? Is that
Okay, so there's genetics.
Yeah.
And then there's epigenetics. So epi means on top of.
Okay.
Right. It's on top of an epiphenomenon, that kind of thing.
I see.
So genetics is the DNA that you're made of.
Right.
Epigenetics are marks on the DNA that don't alter it, but alter the expression of the DNA.
Okay.
So, for example, your nose is a nose, your ear is an ear, same DNA, but they're different. So everyone has the same DNA. So, for example, you and I are 99.5% genetically identical.
Really?
But we're pretty different.
Yeah.
Right?
Very.
Very. We're 97.5% identical to a mouse DNA. And we're 50% identical to a banana. But we're very different, and that's probably largely epigenetics.
Okay, so we're 50% genetically the same as a banana.
Our DNA is the same as a
Okay,
banana.
so that I saw something on TikTok. I really don't know who I can attribute this to, but if you look at the data of any grocery store, from Walmart to Albertsons to whatever, all the groceries that are sold in America, apparently overwhelmingly we purchase more bananas than any other fruit or any other food in this country. We consume and purchase more bananas.
You mean fruit or vegetable?
Fruit or vegetable.
So what does that mean?
It just, there's
Rob
a bit of
Clyde,
an evolutionary,
Mr.
so you were saying
Link,
this is
evolutionary
about
link.
you're talking about microevolution, but is there a link to us being primates in the past, and so we just are really into bananas, just like gorillas and apes?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask that question. I don't remember exactly how close we are to primates, but it's probably in the 90s.
Okay.
Because we're, mice are 97, so probably like 98 to a
Right. Okay. I love that. So it's even an extreme focus inside of something that we think is focused.
So you have all these genes in your genome, 33,000, but the way they're expressed and how they're expressed in each organ is different based on the marks. Like, you're allowed to express yourself, you're not, and those are all marks, and those are all. It's kind of the new evolution. It's a complex discussion, but we're not really evolving as a species genetically like Darwin would suggest with mutations. We're evolving epigenetically, which is called microevolution, and it happens daily. And this is what the meat of this conversation is because you can do something about it.
Awesome. I'm excited to get to it. We have great guests on this podcast often. Today we have one, Kristin Brogaard from Path Fertility.
I am very excited about today.
We're going to be talking with her about the impact of and the relationship of sperm testing in the fertility journey itself, the future of sperm epigenetics, and the growing awareness of male infertility overall in the past decade, which is kind of what we talk about on the show.
Beautiful.
Let's welcome our guest, Kristin Brogaard. Welcome, Kristin. How are you doing today?
I am doing so great. Thank you for the invitation.
Good. Well, let me tell people who you are really quick. Okay. So Kristin Brogaard is the Chief Scientific Officer and co-founder of Path Fertility, where she leads scientific research focused on solving one of the most overlooked challenges in reproductive health, male fertility.
See?
So this is one of the reasons why she's on the show, obviously.
You're good.
I know. Kristin, you do have an extensive bio here, but one thing that really stood out to me in a little small world is that Kristin did her postdoctorate work with Dr. Leroy Hood. What you don't know, and Kristin, what you don't know is right now I'm currently producing and directing a documentary series with Caltech, and we are doing an episode on Dr. Leroy Hood.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Legend.
that's so cool.
Yeah, that he
Legend.
was his invention in the tech of the DNA sequencer and a plotter is what sped up the Human Genome Project by 20 years. The guy's incredible. So, I mean, he's 85 and he can still do 150 push-ups.
Kristin's even more incredible.
She can do 160 push-ups. Seriously, like when you have that opportunity, how did you get that opportunity?
I was introduced to Lee during my graduate work, and he very kindly allowed me to join his lab in Seattle for a postdoc. And he just took me under his wing. He got me an internship in his venture capital firm, so I learned all about due diligence and small startups. He let me run the clinical trial that really brought his vision of systems medicine to people, which he was a visionary. This was before people were talking about the body as a system. And from that clinical trial, we raised the money and started my first startup. So I was employee number 1. I just felt so fortunate. He just tapped me on the shoulder and gave me some opportunities.
It's funny. Mentorship is everything, isn't it, Kristin?
Everything.
In life.
Everything.
What you just said too is learning that our body is a system, and just that way of thinking. This is some of the stuff that we're tackling on this show. So I'm kind of playing the everyman that doesn't know much and learning and getting a lot from this guy and people like you. And so one of the things that you said pre-show was the importance of sperm and what we are passing on to the generations.
Transgenerational importance of sperm. Yeah.
And I said, man, I don't think people really are ready to take that responsibility, or we haven't been. Certainly men haven't. In taking care of themselves so that they're taking care of their sperm and optimizing their sperm.
I think for the public, we should probably say, Kristin, that whatever happens in sperm can happen in offspring, right?
Absolutely.
So is there a reason to be analyzing sperm other than fertility?
I mean, the semen analysis has value because it tells you about the integrity of ejaculation. It tells you, the nervous system. It's a reflex ejaculation. So it tells you a little bit about the biology. It tells you a little bit about sperm production, and it's a biomarker of your health. So I think it tells you a lot about the man who owns it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think that is such an important point to underscore, because in the future, I'm really hoping that we can start using semen analysis, not just as men's first look into their health, but like as a biomarker for an annual screening even for men, because it's so influenced by everything else happening in the body. And Paul, I'm sure you know this data better than me, but coming out of Baylor, the semen quality, and now we're seeing with epigenetics as well, as a predictor of lifespan and potential, future cancers. So we can use this as a tool to really help in men's health, not just for fertility.
Yeah, and I agree completely with Kristin. And I would say the most compelling study I've seen recently was the Danish study of 51 years, and they looked at the ultimate measure of longevity, which is longevity. And they said in men with low sperm counts in their 20s, if you watch them for 50 years versus men with normal sperm counts or normal semen analyses, so just the semen analysis as a marker in their 20s, how long did they live? And there was a 4-year difference in lifespan between men in their 20s with low sperm counts versus normal. And that to me capped it in saying that the semen analysis can be used as a measure of longevity.
Majority of subfertile men are going undiagnosed, which is a huge problem, and they're not getting these expansive tests that build on the semen analysis. So it's an important point if you are going through fertility care and there might be an unexplained problem, for men to get more advanced help. Because just the standard fertility clinic is not doing those tests. So,
and on piggybacking on what Kristin's saying, there's a there. If we look at the technology, each of these tests that are deeper dives have value, and they'll show you something lots of times. And I think the huge potential right now, and I'm just a big fan of it, is epigenetics, and what the Path Fertility things they're doing is very predictive.
So Kristin, that's why you're here today. I mean, at what point did you go, I have something to do, right? Where did you start and you knew I could make a difference somehow?
Yeah, absolutely. So my co-founder and I met 6 years ago. Really serendipitously through colleagues, and we were talking about this issue, which was a fertility issue, which is something I knew about personally and through friends and family, but I never did an academic, actual deep dive into it outside of, just my personal experiences. and starting to understand the gap on the male side. We had friends going through fertility and they were diagnosed with unexplained infertility. And to me, as a technologist, I'm like, well, that's just a cop-out for not having the right test to identify what it is. So I started diving into it and talking to physicians, and I was completely blown away that the technology out there for men is just looking at sperm under a microscope. It just blew me away because as a female, you go through everything. You get poked, prodded, tested. There's just a smattering of tests. And the guy is doing a sample collection and they're just doing a microscopy analysis. And like
just
Paul said,
making love to a cup.
But yeah, they're just looking at it and that's it, right?
It's like 5th grade science. And
that's the statement.
So
it's crude 5th grade science. That's the semen analysis.
Not only was I interested in the problem, but it became a real mission for me because in fertility, all the burden is on the female. The blame's on the female. And it's because it's not the man's fault. It's because we don't have the technology to really start to understand male infertility. So that was the aha of there is something here. And by bringing new technology, which is what my background is, can we start to solve it? And my PhD is in epigenetics, and that felt like the right place to start. And there was just so much research coming out of academic institutes showing that epigenetics influence sperm quality and are associated with fertilization, embryo development, offspring health, spermatogenesis. So I knew there was something there. No one had really done the studies to create a product that was actually clinically useful and had that utility. It took about 3 to 6 months to really okay, there's something here. There's a huge mission. It's a very mission-driven company because we need to bring some equity to this journey. Because when a man goes undiagnosed, women are put through futile procedures. So let's bring some equity into this journey and do that by bringing that technology into the space.
So
let's get out of the microscopy.
Explain to everybody what epigenetics means. So Paul gave me just a hint of it, but explain that.
Yeah, absolutely. So epigenetics is the control of gene expression. So every cell in your body, from your brain cells to your liver cells, have the same DNA, but they do very different functions. So it's which genes are turned on and off in those cell types that are really important for those cell types to function properly. So if you have the light switches of those genes turned on and off properly, you're going to get a functioning liver cell. If they are not, then those cell types are not going to be healthy. And they either die or turn into a diseased state. Sperm are no different. That is exactly what they're going through during spermatogenesis. You need the right genes turned on and off in order for a sperm to function properly, to find, bind, penetrate, and fertilize an egg. And something that is, Paul mentioned this earlier, but something that's really crucial about epigenetics is that it's influenced by the environment. So the classic understanding of this is you have identical twins. They have the same exact DNA, but some can end up into a diseased state and some don't. And that's kind of where epigenetics really got its feet, is these identical twin studies. And that's because one twin could be exposed to environmental toxins, a bad diet, poor habits, stress, PTSD. It's really the buildup of your exposures over time that can change how those genes are expressed.
I love the analogy too of the giraffe and the neck of the giraffe. So one way to explain it is in Darwinism and evolutionary and mutations is giraffes have long necks because they inherited a mutation which gave them an advantage and they could reach higher and they could survive and they passed it on.
Okay.
So that's genetics, that's mutations. Epigenetics was described 65 years earlier, and it's giraffes have long necks because they spend their life reaching as high as possible, and you inherit acquired characteristics. So that's the difference. So diet and lifestyle, the way you approach life, that's heritable. That's the microevolution. And I think that's actually what's driving most of our evolution. This is very teleological, but I don't know if you agree with this, but I think that we are really evolving epigenetically a lot faster than we are genetically.
I totally agree. And at a conference we were at together, American Urological Association conference a few months ago, there were new studies in monkeys showing the effects of marijuana on a monkey sperm. It changes the DNA methylation of monkey sperm. They can track those same changes in the offspring and the offspring of those offspring.
Ouch.
And the white matter of the brain of the offspring are decreased. So we're actually seeing the effects of marijuana use, which I'm sure, Paul, you see all the time in men trying to get pregnant, conceive, affecting the brain size of their offspring. And those changes weren't able to be identified until adolescence of the monkeys. And that same exact epigenetic change was seen in the second, third generation.
This is scary stuff.
It's so scary.
We were having a conversation about transgenerational aspects of sperm, and I mean, this is the what's beyond the universe headache thinking but I'm happy to be in the field. I'm Kristin in a field where this matters. So sperm health, offspring health, and then
Human health.
on and so on.
Human health in the future.
So the power of this evolution is very strong.
Now in the world of just sperm again, we're talking
gonna go back
to sperm. We again, if I have an issue, are you looking to fix the sperm that are in me now, or are you just reading them and seeing which one are better so I can pick one for IVF that's better than another one?
I think Kristin, tell us where we are with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's multiple areas of thought around that. My personal area is most of this can be improved. Not for everybody, but lifestyle modifications in men can really improve the epigenetic health of sperm. Lifestyle modifications could include therapeutics. We're not there yet of understanding how that works, but I think there's a huge, it's just starting. And I'm really just honored to be part of that. But we're just starting to understand how we can make improvements to improve sperm quality. But for right now, what we know is there are procedures that can overcome some of the epigenetic abnormalities in men. So I think there's really, depending on the timing and how long you've been trying and the age of the female, you can either pause and try to improve your lifestyle and a spermatogenesis cycle. So you make all new sperm in about 3 months. So testing at 3 months and 6 months, you can actually see improvements. But some people don't have that time and that luxury. So there are ways to kind of bypass that with certain procedures like IVF with ICSI, where you take a single sperm and inject it into the egg. But I think the future is modifying epigenetics, either therapeutically or through lifestyle, to improve the chances of fertility and then the health of the offspring.
This is why I'm so excited about epigenetics. It's because when we went to the field of genetics for 20, 25 years, it's like, okay, now what do we do? I have a mutation. You can't really change that, right? But then you go to epigenetics and all of a sudden it opens up a whole new therapeutic pathway, which is diet and lifestyle. So believe it or not, I quit academic medicine as an endowed chair professor at a top 5 university in America. And now I lecture at the traditional Chinese medicine school at Yosan University in LA, which is Eastern medicine, precisely because Western medicine reacts, Eastern medicine is proactive, and diet and lifestyle are massive. So I'm all in.
So if I'm a patient and I am already I'm lucky that I've already gotten to a male fertility specialist. That's one thing that I want to say that you're endorsing is that the fertility clinic is not the end of the road when there's an issue. And we are saying again,
it's a good place to start.
It's a good place to start, but it's where it will start, right? It's if you're a couple and you're trying to get pregnant, that's where it will start. Yeah. Then my personal story, Kristin, was that I wasn't I was given a semen analysis, which is they checked to make sure I had enough for an IVF, and that was it. And it turned out years later that it was most likely my issue the whole time. So agree 100% with the equity of the situation. So it's 25% of the time the male's issue, 25% of the time we don't know. So is it basically a 50-50? Is that what we say?
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly a 50-50. But yes, all this science, by the way, for everybody, I mean, IVF is only 42 years old, right? And so I think that's what people like me don't get. That we assume that your education and working and postdoctorates and everything, that you know all this stuff already, that how come we can't just get to it? And you're literally in real time discovering the sciences.
This is brand new.
Right? Brand new.
To the world, to the species, to everything.
So you're able to tell us the expressions of the genetics of the sperm, right? In a sense, like, and how they act or turn on or don't turn on, and all of that is important to the...
Yeah. So to take this even further, going into the beyond the universe thinking, is if you can define an epigenetic problem with sperm, and you can do diet and lifestyle modification, which is essentially to stay healthy, you're going to improve that man's fertility. You're going to improve his health, stop the pot, get out of the hot bath, stop the alcohol, whatever. And you're going to improve the health of the offspring. So what are we talking about here? This is like the ultimate medical disease. You can help everything. And I'm used to rely on this. All right, listen, you stop smoking and you're going to be more fertile, okay, because your DNA is fragmented. So you stop smoking. Men love this. You can put a number on it. If you put a number on their fertility, like the fragmentation rate or epigenetic result, they're going to say, "Oh, okay, I'm going to move on this." And then they have their kid, and then they thank you, and you say, and I say, that's fine, great, but what I'm really happy about is you stop smoking. You're going to live 5 years longer. It's the bigger picture, and epigenetics is the key to the bigger picture. We're talking fertility, health, and health of offspring. What is bigger than that?
And we are just scraping the surface. Like, what we're doing at Path is brand new, and I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more that we're going to understand. Right now, our test is predictive of artificial insemination outcomes, but I think with more and more research and more data, we can be really predictive of just overall health and every step of the fertility journey for these men. So I think we're just getting started.
So Kristin, do you think that this is the missing link in male infertility? I mean, I think it's going to describe a big chunk of things we can't explain right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to describe a big chunk. I don't think it's going to be the end all be all. Sure. I think just like female fertility, we're going to need multiple tests to really understand what's going on. We know that the epigenetics of sperm are linked to outcomes, but it's not it doesn't completely correlate with DNA fragmentation or semen analysis. So I think you're going to need multiple tests to make a comprehensive panel for men. And there's other companies out there doing that, which is fantastic. Because when we started our company, it was kind of like a desert. But more and more people are coming in to try to have more innovation in this space. I think epigenetics is going to be a huge one, but I don't think it'll be the end all be all. I think we're going to need a lot more innovation.
Yeah. Can I ask I'm going to go really layman's terms here, but my insurance, and I'm lucky that I get to meet Paul Turek, and so now I'm here, and now he says, really what you need, or what I'm suggesting, is a epigenetic sophisticated test that's going to better tell you what's going on, so that you're going to tell me that it improved to me that my diet and exercise and my lifestyle habits are actually the therapy we need first, right? And I hear that there may be future therapies that are designed to help me and help my sperm, help my sperm, help me help you. But I do see and hear the missional aspect of Path Fertility and doctors out there that are saying the more information, the more analysis, and we really know what's going on, it'll help me have more faith and trust in you to then take action myself, right?
I think that epigenetics is the crystal ball of fertility, health, and offspring health. It's like I said, we don't even know how to read the ball yet.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the products right now that you have on the market. Is one that a couple with unexplained infertility might get. It's a deeper dive. It's different than the other stuff. It's newer, and it would tell them you're not going to have much luck at home conceiving. And
Right.
if you go to low levels of technology, like inseminations in the office, turkey basting stuff, you're not going to have much luck with that.
Okay.
So it can tell
That's
you, it's almost a full stop.
So that's the test that you're right now doing.
Yep, that's exactly right. So it's called the sperm quality test, or sperm QT. And Paul just nailed it. It's an epigenetic profile looking at 1,200 plus genes in the sperm epigenome. And we are measuring, are those genes properly turned on and off? And the more you deviate from what it should be, the less likely you are to achieve pregnancy spontaneous at home with timed intercourse or with artificial insemination. So it's really something that should be done really, really early on. So you're not trying for a year at home, and you're not trying, multiple artificial insemination cycles, which is just, pumping the female full of hormones and going through a pretty miserable process. So it's something that should be done early on with the semen analysis to assess, are we going to need more sophisticated procedures to get this couple pregnant?
Okay, so the timing of all of this, where are we in, when should I do this? When should I know about this test? How does it work? And just
So I would start with the answer and have Kristin answer, but you should be seen by a fertility specialist. So a semen analysis is done by generally a fertility group, and then a history and physical semen, and then if it's decided that we need to look deeper because she's essentially fine, and he's not, in a case of infertility in which it's unexplained, would be a classic case. Kristin, what other indications do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm of the mindset, the more information earlier on, the better. So I would even advocate right when you're thinking about having a child, or if there's any concern about issues, the man should be tested, and it should be a combination of sperm QT and semen analysis, because the combination of those are even more predictive when put together. And sperm QT is available right now. So we have it live as a commercial product that fertility clinics and reproductive urologists are utilizing.
So you need to order this. You can't order it yourself. It's prescription.
Yeah, this is a physician-ordered test.
Got it.
We do have it available. If you go to our website, we have it available, and a physician on the back end who provides a review of the data as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're not with a fertility clinic and to order it, you absolutely can just go to pathfertility.com and order it on our website, and we link you up with a physician.
Yeah, because the interpretation is everything. But it would save couples, a year of time. And a lot of my couples in San Francisco and LA are, the late 30s, and they don't want to wait.
We're talking to those couples right now so they can tell their doctor, right? Like, hey, I heard this podcast about epigenetics and this place called Path Fertility and this guy, and they're saying I need this information, right? So we're selling to doctors right now to say, hey, this is a test that you probably should be thinking about, right. and it's going to improve the whole industry, not just this one person. The future is there. So we're early in this. What is the future of epigenetics? Are we manipulating those markers? My advocacy is that a young man is analyzed. We can see there's issues. And then can we change my sperm in time?
We're just scratching the surface. We are looking at one type of epigenetic modification for one indication. I think we're going to start to build a whole repertoire of different tests for different fertility indications. But I think for sure diagnostically, that's the future. Therapeutically, I think when we understand changes in sperm and start to really link it with different other somatic or whole body as a system diseases, I think that is a big part of the future. Using sperm as a window into so many other things that are going on inside a man's body. That's where I really want this to go, and saying, okay, these epigenetic signatures are really indicative of a cardiovascular issue, and it's coming out through essentially your ability to see that in semen. So I see that as, and I would say in our lifetime we probably get there. It's just getting the data and collecting it. But I think we can get there.
That's so cool. This is her systems biology bubbling up to the surface again.
It's all back to Lee Hood.
That's right. That goes back to Lee Hood. When it comes to IVF, That is like you're looking for a pocket of how many do you think? Like, in other words, like when you go in and I need sperm for the IVF,
One.
you're looking for one.
One per egg.
Okay. So if there's 10 of them, do you pick the better one of the 10? I mean, you can't analyze a sperm in each one and go, this one's better than this one, right? Even though we know that's the case. If it's you've given me a soccer team analogy. Hey, you have a soccer team of sperm and they all are in there, but there are superheroes within there. There are the Messis and the Pelés in there that are not, they're not equal. All sperm are not equal.
And it's hard to figure it out right now. That's part of the therapeutic process. Can we use microfluidic sperm sorting? Would that improve the epigenetics? Can we fix varicoceles? I mean, we're going to publish some data on the epigenetic changes with nutritional supplementation, diet. All that stuff needs to be studied. And, you can look at it. You can look at sperm. We looked at time 0 and time 9 months, and saw changes. So there's there. And so it takes time to evaluate all the lifestyle changes, but some of them just make sense, like losing weight.
Right.
Or staying active.
There's no downside.
And the point to be made maybe could be that sperm can be healthy or they can be unhealthy.
Right.
And that is up to us.
Yes.
Right. That's what you're saying. Diet, nutrition,
for the first
exercise. We now know for the first time.
Well, I think we've those of us in the field have known that staying healthy is the best way to stay fertile. But now we have little measurements of that. Now we can actually put a number on it.
Excellent.
And that's the secret sauce for men, I think, is put a number on it and then change it, right? So stop the smoking, stop the pot. If you say to a man, you need to improve your health, that's a hard one. If the partner says, do it for me, they'll do it. They'll do anything for the people they love or they want to love, like a child. So the motivation goes way up when it's not about them.
Yes.
What's lovely is that it's a fertility thing, so you get men early.
Right.
It's not like they're 70 and they're having another problem. You do the epigenetics. We can tell them, and that's lovely that you catch men early at a point where they're going to do something because there's someone else involved who they love, right? So you get the motivation up like we've never been able to do at an age we've never been able to get at them, and you've got predictive value. And so I always tell men, healthy body, healthy sperm. And this is the mechanism by which it works.
An important point is that women have been doing this forever. Like, we know there's so much data. We, stop caffeine, stop drinking, stop, pot. We live a healthier lifestyle because we know there's a direct impact, and it's easier to connect to that because you're carrying the baby. But I think because that exists, I feel like we can start to bring it in for the man and make it clearer. But women have been doing this for forever.
This is key for men. This is a key time
for men to step up.
We're putting numbers on health.
So what would be the ideal journey? My wife and I are having trouble getting pregnant. In your vision, in your future, with a man being as equal as the woman?
Well, I'll tell you what's currently being recommended.
Yeah.
It's all society guidelines recommend that the couples get evaluated concurrently together, right?
Okay.
So that means a reproductive urologist for the man and an endocrinologist for the woman. And that's done around 23% of the time in North America.
Okay.
So, but what happens now is the male partner gets a semen analysis at a fertility clinic, and the female partner gets a $5,000 evaluation. And it should be concurrent. So that's sad.
Got it. So again, you're saying, and we were just talking, this is a female-focused center, the fertility clinic. That's what you're saying, that they're focused on the female.
Yeah, and the standard of care right now is just the semen analysis, like Paul said. So if there's a struggle to get pregnant, the recommendation should be the man gets a full workup to understand what's going on, and that's mostly done by reproductive urologists. So having a full workup from both partners is really critical to understand how to guide the fertility journey back at the fertility clinic.
Yeah, and I think that the use of functional sperm testing like Path QT is going to be part of the guidelines. It's got to be, because we're learning so much about how much male is involved with it, and we're treating the opposite sex for their problem in a big chunk of cases, which is seen nowhere else in medicine. When you spend $50,000 and drug up a woman for a man's problem, it's almost like having cancer It's like a man having cancer and the partner gets the chemotherapy.
That's exactly
sort
right.
of the equivalent of what's going on right now.
She is holding the burden of his issue.
Look, from the man's standpoint, I would have loved to have been analyzed just as much and to have the record show that it was my problem.
Ownership.
And I would have known. It's harder to look at your wife and be like, I'm really sorry, babe, that it's not working out for us. It's your problem. Since we found out, clearly, such a burden was lifted off my wife, who for years was like, what's wrong with me? And sure, it wasn't just me. There were other factors too that we don't know, but still, as the man, I want to know that I have a skin in the game, right?
It changes the whole dynamic, and your movie went there.
Thank you. I'll send you the link, Kristin. I want you to watch.
I would love to see it.
It's pretty intense.
But yeah, it's just to say I would have loved to have known. We universally here on the show have said a couple of times, wouldn't it be great if it was just equal and that the men were analyzed and supervised for their own fertility, right?
The earlier, the better.
The earlier, the better.
Absolutely.
Kristin, any last words for our audience out there that are looking for the answers?
The impact of the male on the fertility journey is so substantial. Obviously, it takes two to have a child, and just knowing that, and for couples to have that knowledge and bringing the male into the process, getting advanced testing from a reproductive urologist, doing an epigenetic analysis is so important. Because then you can actually make smart decisions in your fertility process, improve your health, to have a baby quicker and a healthier baby. So bringing the male into the process is so important. And I appreciate this podcast for bringing that to everybody's attention.
How can our listeners find you? What's your website?
Kristin Brogaard and Path Fertility, PATH, fertility.com. And you just go and you can read about our science. We have our publications on there. We're very data focused. And you can also order the test on there. And if you're already with a fertility clinic, just ask for Sperm QT and they'll get it for you.
And the way that you can help us is to recommend our podcast to your friends and family. If you know anybody, you know somebody that is struggling with fertility right now. You might not know that they are struggling, but you know somebody that is struggling with fertility right now. If you hear about it, suggest Talk With Turek. We're available on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, pretty much wherever you can get a podcast. Like, subscribe, follow us, get the word out. Go watch the Peter Attia podcast starring my friend Paul Turek that is making waves. And hey, thanks to you both for joining us and telling everybody a little bit more about
Kristin,
science.
thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. This was wonderful.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks for joining the Talk with Turek podcast. Today's show was executive produced by Rob Clyde and Jennifer Harris. DP engineered and edited by Drew Unser. Thanks to Avery Clyde, Shen Heckel, Max Flora, and Jonathan Raju. Talk with Turek is produced and recorded in Los Angeles, California, in association with Hey Babe Media. Subscribe to our show wherever you listen to podcasts and watch us on YouTube. For more information or to book an appointment, whether in person or virtual, visit Dr. Turek online at theturekclinic.com or call 1-888-TUREK-MD, TUREKMD. Don't miss our next episode as we delve deeper into men's fertility and sexual health on Talk with Turek. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Talk with Turek for updates and more content.